secondhand advice for the book Self-Compassion by Kristin Neff. This is one of the most important topics we can discuss right now in this current climate. One glance at social media, and it seems that our culture is incredibly self-centered. But the truth is, most of us are also extremely hard on ourselves. We chastise ourselves when we make mistakes. We all hold ourselves to impossibly high standards and then berate ourselves when we fall short of them. We must stop trying to label ourselves as good or bad and simply accept ourselves with an open heart. This is especially true of women, as we are raised to believe that our value is what we can give to others. Women are socialized to be caregivers, but we aren't taught to care for ourselves. We subject ourselves to incredibly harsh self-criticism, and we continuously tell ourselves we're not good enough the way we are. However, you have to care about yourself before you can really care about other people. Today, I will address a few key points, such as why self-criticism is self-defeating, why self-compassion is more effective, and why many of us are uncomfortable with the idea of comforting ourselves. Our tendency to be self-critical and to feel inadequate often stems from childhood. It's the age-old adage, blame it on your parents. Research shows that we're much more likely to be critical of ourselves as adults if our parents were critical of us as children. Our brains have adapted to avoid our parents' criticism by preemptively criticizing ourselves. In this way, we can modify our behavior and avoid disapproval. In essence, we've internalized our parents' criticism. Societal pressures encourage us to be self-critical and to feel inadequate. Self-criticism is a type of safety behavior designed to ensure acceptance within the larger social group. Most of us live in highly competitive, individualistic societies, and this is especially true in the United States. We equate feeling good about ourselves with feeling special. This means that we must be above average in everything, but everyone can't be above average. Another consequence of this is that we don't just see ourselves as better, we also see others as worse. Psychologists call this downward social comparison, when we see others in a negative light so that we can feel superior by contrast. This is especially true when it comes to material success and physical attractiveness. Our sense of self-worth becomes tied to how well we're doing and how we look. Social media is making matters worse. Instead of comparing ourselves with just those in our communities, we now compare ourselves to millions of people that we see online every day. These are impossible standards because we can never be better than everyone at everything. We'll always be able to find someone who is more successful, attractive, smarter, or more talented than us. Because of this comparison, we'll always feel dissatisfied with ourselves, and we begin to see our fellow human beings as other, when in reality, we are much more alike than we are different. One of the saddest consequences of social comparison is how we distance ourselves from people whose success makes us feel bad about ourselves. And the sad irony is that the very reason we want to succeed in the first place is that we want to feel accepted and worthy, to be close to others, to feel that we belong. Feeling unworthy goes hand in hand with feeling separate from others, separate from life. If we are defective, how can we possibly belong? You may ask, but doesn't self-criticism lead to self-improvement? Well, self-criticism can motivate us to a limited extent, but it comes with serious costs. Harsh judgments about ourselves and our self-worth cause us pain. In a small way, self-criticism can motivate us to improve ourselves, but only because we fear the pain that it causes. Fear as a motivator comes with several serious drawbacks. First, we combat this fear by behavior that psychologists call self-handicapping. This is where we intentionally perform below our capabilities so that we can claim that our behavior wasn't really a true reflection of our abilities. Basically, we don't try very hard. Another behavior that results from self-criticism, procrastination. You just simply avoid doing the activity for which you'd criticize yourself. Harsh self-criticism leads to self-abuse. We routinely respond to our setbacks and suffering in ways we wouldn't imagine speaking to a friend or even a stranger. And could you imagine speaking to a child the way we often speak to ourselves? As a remedy, we have to imagine ourselves as that child and give ourselves the same compassion we would give a child. One tip I learned that has helped me immensely is to look at a picture of yourself when you were young. I put several pictures of myself from the ages of 3 to 5 on my phone. And every time I am tempted to berate myself or beat myself up, I take a look at those pictures of that little girl and I tell her that it's okay and that everyone makes mistakes and she is loved and she is worthy. We all still have that inner child within us, and the person we are now is an accumulation of every age we've ever been. Self-compassion provides us with a kinder, healthier, and more helpful alternative to self-criticism. Compassion literally means to suffer with. If a friend makes a mistake, how would you respond to her? You would comfort her by telling her that everyone makes mistakes and it's okay. You'd show your friend compassion. Compassion then involves the recognition and clear seeing of suffering. It also involves feelings of kindness for people who are suffering. And if you started responding in this way to your own mistakes and suffering, you'd be engaging in self-compassion. To give ourselves compassion, we first have to recognize that we are suffering. We can't heal what we can't feel. There are 3 components of self-compassion: self-kindness, recognition of our common humanity, and finally, mindfulness. Practicing self-kindness means overcoming the notion that we should be uncaring toward ourselves and our pain. Self-kindness means responding to ourselves the way we would respond to a friend who is in pain. You might say, "I'm so sorry you're going through this." You might also pair these comforting words with a hug, a caress, or simply a hand on the shoulder. Now brace yourself for what I'm about to suggest. Have you ever tried hugging yourself? Don't laugh. It's an actual thing that has strong evidence supporting its effectiveness. Try it with me right now. Wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a big old embrace. You can even soothe yourself by caressing your arms. Your body doesn't know it's not supposed to be hugged by itself. Science shows that a hug can cause your body to release oxytocin, the hormone that makes us feel more calm, safe, and relaxed. You could also say some words to comfort yourself, such as, "You poor girl. I know things are so hard right now." Practicing self-compassion involves putting psychological space between yourself and your suffering. Mindfulness can help us do that. By holding a negative emotion in mindful awareness, you're saying, this is what I'm experiencing right now. It's just a passing feeling. It's not my entire reality. We have to stop and ask ourselves how we're feeling in the present moment. Are we sad or anxious about a difficult situation? Hold your emotion like a flower. Get curious about it. Practice mindfulness with your suffering. Once we've acknowledged our suffering, we can respond to it with kindness and care. Recognizing our shared humanity is another essential element of self-compassion. Imagine you thought you were the only person in the world who had a problem. Let's say a job loss. By feeling all alone with your problem, it's easy to get down on yourself about it. Everyone else has a good job. What's wrong with me? But what if you realized you are not alone? Many people have lost a job or are working below their qualifications. It is part of being human, and it's a part of other people's humanity too. When we're suffering, it can be easy to get so fixated on our misfortune that it becomes the only thing we see. Even though we might know that millions of other people have gone through a similar painful experience of losing a job, we feel as if we were the only person in the world to ever suffer from it. This sense of loneliness can amplify our pain. Reminding ourselves of our shared humanity serves as a powerful antidote to the perfectionism that leads us to be so self-critical and feel so inadequate in the first place. We can tell ourselves that, of course, we make mistakes. Of course, we're flawed. We suffer setbacks. We're only human. Self-criticism can be a starting point for self-compassion, but the secret is to start practicing self-compassion with your self-criticism rather than against it. Self-compassion is both a kinder and a more practical way of treating yourself. In practicing self-compassion, we can come to accept ourselves for who we are. It means that we view our flaws in a more holistic, compassionate way, one that also encompasses our strengths. Many people think they're above average on personal traits that society values, like being friendlier, smarter, more attractive than average. Try this exercise to see yourself as you are. First, list 5 ways you're above average. Then list 5 ways you're just average. And then list 5 ways you're below average. Now, take an honest look at yourself and ask, can I accept all these facets of myself? Can I acknowledge that I'm human and therefore encompass a wide range of traits, positive, negative, and neutral? So let's review. Self-criticism and feelings of inadequacy are the unhealthy consequences of receiving criticism as children and feeling the pressures of living in a highly competitive society. Self-compassion is a healthier alternative to self-criticism, which is ultimately a self-defeating behavior. We can practice self-compassion by being mindful of our suffering, showing ourselves kindness in response to it, and remembering our shared humanity. So, what strategies do you use to practice self-compassion? Comment below with your best advice. And thanks for watching. Our tendency to be self-critical and to feel inadequate often stems from childhood. It's